I found a secret about my family that changed everything, and I wish I never opened that old wooden box. Story starts now. The day my grandmother died, the house felt different. Not just quiet, heavy, like the walls were holding their breath. Our family gathered in the old ancestral house for the funeral. It was a large, slightly broken down home at the edge of town. The kind of house where every door creaks and every room smells like old memories. I hadn't been there in years. My father avoided that house. My mother never talked about it. And my grandmother, she always smiled when I asked questions, then changed the topic. After the burial, everyone sat in the living room discussing property papers, land distribution, and who would take what. It felt wrong. She had just been buried, and already people were counting walls and furniture. I slipped away. I went upstairs to her room. It was exactly how I remembered it. The same wooden bed, the same floral curtains, the same antique mirror with a crack in the corner. I sat on her bed and stared at the cupboard. I don't know why, but something pulled me toward it. When I opened it, most of her clothes were neatly folded, but behind them, hidden in the back corner, was a small wooden box. It was locked, and for some reason, my heart started racing. I don't believe in instincts, but that moment, I felt like I wasn't supposed to find it. Still, I took it. Downstairs, no one noticed. Everyone was busy arguing about land measurements. That night, I stayed in the house alone. I don't know why I volunteered. Maybe curiosity. Maybe something else. Around midnight, I found an old key in one of her drawers. I don't know why I tried it, but it fit. The box opened. Inside, there were letters, old photographs, and a birth certificate. The birth certificate had my father's name on it, but the mother's name wasn't my grandmother. It was someone else. My hands started shaking. I checked again. Same name, same date of birth, same hospital, but different mother. That's when I found the letters. The first letter was written by my grandmother. It said, "I promised I would never tell him, but if you are reading this, it means I am gone, and the truth deserves to be known." My chest tightened. The letter explained that my father wasn't her biological son. He was her sister's child. Her sister had gotten pregnant before marriage. In those days, that was considered a disgrace. The family decided to hide it. My grandmother took the baby and raised him as her own. No one outside the family ever knew, not even my father. I sat frozen. The second letter was written by my grandmother's sister, my father's real mother. She wrote about how she was forced to leave the town, how she wasn't allowed to see her son again, how she watched from a distance at school events, how she cried every birthday. She had signed it with love. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. This wasn't just a secret. This was a stolen life. The next morning, I confronted my mother. She went pale. "Where did you find that?" she whispered. "So it's true?" She didn't answer immediately. Then she nodded. My father didn't know. He had lived his entire life believing a lie, and everyone, my mother, my uncles, even distant relatives, knew. I felt angry, but mostly confused. Why would they keep this from him? My mother said, "It would destroy him." I asked, "Or would it free him?" That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about identity, about truth, about how fragile everything is. The next day, I went to the old hospital listed on the birth certificate. It was still standing. After hours of searching through old archives, I found something shocking. There were 2 birth certificates filed on the same day, one under my father's name and another under a baby girl's name. Same parents, same hospital room, twins. My father had a twin sister, and there was no record of her after that. I felt cold. I rushed back home and confronted my uncle. He broke down immediately. The twin girl had been sick. The family couldn't afford treatment. The shame of the unwed pregnancy plus the medical bills was too much. They gave the baby girl to an orphanage in another city. She was adopted, my uncle said. By who? He didn't know. I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about my father anymore. This was about a lost sister. For days I debated whether to tell him. I watched him sit silently in the living room, staring at my grandmother's photo. He looked broken already. Would this destroy him further? Or was he strong enough to handle the truth? One evening, I sat next to him. "Dad," I said carefully, "did Grandma ever talk about your birth?" He looked confused. "No, why?" I handed him the letters. I've never seen a person read so slowly. Halfway through the first letter, his hands started shaking. By the end of the second letter, he wasn't crying. He was silent. Too silent. After what felt like forever, he asked, "So my mother was alive all this time?" I nodded. He stood up and walked outside. I followed him. He sat on the old stone bench under the tree. "I always felt different," he whispered. "Like I didn't belong." That sentence broke me. He had sensed it his entire life. He wasn't angry. He wasn't shouting. He was grieving. Grieving a mother he never knew. Grieving a sister he never met. Grieving a truth stolen from him. The next few weeks became a search. We tracked down the orphanage records. After multiple calls and paperwork, we found her, his twin sister. She had been adopted by a family in another city. She was alive, married, with children. When we contacted her, she didn't believe us at first. But DNA tests confirmed it. The day they met was something I'll never forget. They stared at each other like mirrors. Same eyes, same smile, same nervous habit of touching their forehead when stressed. They hugged. And in that moment, decades of separation disappeared. But the story didn't end there. During our search, we discovered something else. My grandmother's sister, their biological mother, had never actually left town. She had lived quietly under a different name. She had been watching from a distance. We found her in a small house near the outskirts. When my father knocked on her door, she opened it slowly. She looked older than her age, but her eyes, they were his eyes. She covered her mouth. He said just one word. "Mom." She collapsed into his arms. I realized something then. Secrets don't protect families. They fracture them. Yes, my grandmother thought she was protecting everyone, but the silence created invisible walls. Walls my father felt his whole life without understanding why. Over time, the family healed. Not perfectly, but honestly. There were difficult conversations, anger, tears, but also forgiveness. My father forgave his mother. He even forgave my grandmother, because he understood the time she lived in, the pressure, the shame, the fear. And I realized something about myself too. I had grown up thinking my family was ordinary, simple, predictable. But beneath the surface, there were sacrifices, pain, and untold stories. That wooden box didn't just reveal a secret. It revealed humanity. We are all shaped by things we don't see. Years later, our family gatherings feel different. My father laughs louder. His sister visits often. And his mother, my real grandmother, sits proudly at the table. Sometimes I catch my father staring at her, as if making up for lost time. And I always think about that night. The quiet house, the locked wooden box, and the choice to open it. If I hadn't, maybe life would have continued peacefully, but incomplete. Truth is painful, but it sets things right. The end. Moral of the story? Secrets might protect you for a moment, but truth has the power to heal generations.